about your journey in visual effects and what inspired this choice in your career.
I was always interested in video games, actually, when I was younger. That's kind of where it started. Had an interest in films, have memories of going to watch movies like Jurassic Park and Twister at the cinema. And it kind of just really interested me, the whole visual effects and how they used computers to make these animals walk and talk and things like that. So that kind of got me going, and then the video games thing was something I was just kind of interested in more, how they were made. I spent a lot of time in arcades and things like that playing games. That kind of evolved. I got into art. I was always quite creative in my studies. Became interested in photography. Started learning software like Photoshop and Cinema 4D and Lightwave 3D animation programs. And then studied art and photography in school, and then eventually went on to become a tutor at Escape Studios in London, which is a training facility. Studied there, learned some different 3D software, came away, put some demo reels together, and that's kind of how my career started, really. I got hired as a 19-year-old, actually. It was my first job, working on a movie called Chasing Liberty.
Wow.
I had to build a digital White House, which was really fun. That was a small company I worked for. It was my first gig in the industry.
Right. And your family, your parents, were they, thrilled with this, or were they hoping you'd go into something more conventional?
I think they probably didn't like me hanging out at the arcades all the time. When I was younger. No, they were quite supportive. They were always keen on whatever my interest would be. They would support me, and towards the later half of my secondary school, I think they discovered that I actually had a talent for art and the creative side, and I had an interest, and I think they were just happy that I'd found something that interested me, really, and at such a young age as well. I think it was quite a unique thing to be able to say, I really want to do this, at such a young age. So I think they were more than happy to support me with that.
What has been the most challenging movie that you've been involved with in terms of visual effects?
Well, I think obviously The Lion King rates up there as particularly challenging. I think really for us, for myself personally, I'd say that the story started really on the Jungle Book. That was the big moment for us to kind of prove that we can do something like this. It was a big milestone project for us at the time, going back 5 or so years ago now. And obviously that was our first engagement with Jon Favreau and the filmmakers in Los Angeles on that film, and working with Disney. So I would say really kind of the story's been a 5-year story, and not just on The Lion King, but actually it started on the Jungle Book, and we developed that partnership then. We had a lot of big hurdles to overcome on that project in terms of scale, the environment work that we had to do, just how extensive the visual effects was. These big environments we had to build around the lead character Mowgli. The fact that he had to interact with the animals. He had to put his hands in the fur of the wolves, and he had to pretty much perform on a blue screen stage because everything around him was going to be replaced by the visual effects. And we delivered, I think it was something like 1,500 shots on that movie. So at the time, it was a pretty epic undertaking for us, and pushed us in various ways, technically as well as creatively. So I think that probably is rates it up there just as highly as Lion King, because of the time at which it landed for us. But obviously Lion King takes it up a notch even further. But I think the thing that was nice about The Lion King is we had that hindsight from the Jungle Book to actually look back and say, what worked, what didn't work so well, what do we want to improve on. So we actually gained a lot from that as the first time around. So we kind of felt like we all had a little bit more experience of how to deal with the problems on The Lion King, and we could really focus on refining the craft and the visuals this time, and not worry too much about trying to theorize about how we were going to solve a problem.
Now, as a visual effects guy, for you, what is your favorite all-time scene in any movie that that just stays with you?
Good question. I'd say it's, the most iconic's got to be Jurassic Park. The original Jurassic Park movie. It's still, even now today when I watch it, I still think it's great. I think the work that they did that at the time was just unbelievable, and maybe I watch it now and I'm a bit biased about, I've got that memory and it kind of recalls that memory of what it was like. Obviously, visual effects has moved leaps and bounds ahead now in terms of what we're doing, the complexity, but I still look at that movie and think that was kind of the golden age of visual effects, and really like the game changer. And I like to think that it kind of really started the industry as to where it is at today, really, that movie. So I'd say probably the Jurassic Park film, the original, yeah.